X6. I don't have anything like that. Audio capture. Okay.
Well, there's Jeff.
Okay. Give me something, John.
Yeah.
Yeah. What up?
Woo!
All right, guys. We made it. Sounds like we're all here. I see John on our bars down below.
Looks like we made it.
And so if you guys all got it taken care of, I guess now, more than ever, ready to start the show. Thanks for the handoff there, Jeff. He guided us through this tricky process. Guys, welcome to Talking Heads, episode 238. This is Craft Computing's once weekly live tech and beer news show. I'm Rhett.
I'm John.
And how are we all doing? This is crazy. I jumped on this call like an hour ago to hopefully get this squared away, and it took me all hour because I'm a horribly slow learner. You think after last time I'd be ready to go, but...
Well, this is... I don't remember. I was trying to remember. Was this the second or is this the third? I think it's the third time we did this, right?
I think it's only the second. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Whatever. The first one was successful. I remember that.
Yeah, I wore a suit.
Hey, we got our first super chat that's literally going nowhere.
Shout out to Crap Computing. Don't know who that is.
Can you legally say that?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I think you're going to have to go to HR now.
Yeah, I guess so. Ring, ring, ring. Hi, Rhett. This is Rhett. I've got an HR issue.
Yeah, that guy's good.
But thanks, Jeff, for the $5 salute. We appreciate it. He says, this feels weird. I agree. It does feel weird.
Well, Jeff, quit touching it.
Yeah, that goes right over here. So let's go ahead. I just gave $2 to YouTube for that joke. I've done worse. Let's go ahead and crack some beers because I don't know about you, but I need one after all that.
Yes. What do you got today?
Oh, I've got something pretty basic, but it's delightful. It's one of my favorites. It's the Mac and Jack's African Amber.
Oh, look at that new logo.
Yeah, I love it. This is one of my favorite beers when you find it on tap, which isn't that often in Oregon. More and more places are carrying it, like Coin Jam.
I see it a lot at New Seasons.
Oh,
so a lot of the New Seasons have like a little growler fill station in their deli, and they'll let you have some pints there if you want.
Nice.
Mac and Jack, I swear, is like number one, number two, always on there. But yeah, I see it a lot as people's staples for like a nice light beer. So
yeah, it's really good.
I'm gonna go kind of the light side too, but a little bit different. I'm gonna go with a cider, actually. So I'm gonna go with Portland Cider's Bloody Hell. This is a spicy cider, actually. So 5.6%, but it's a habanero and blood oranges.
I dig it. Sounds good. Give us a shout out in chat if y'all are drinking something at home. Could be beer, could be, I don't know, whiskey.
No, non-alcoholic
good
sodas,
cocktail.
whatever you got.
Could be water, blue Gatorade, whatever you want to do.
Let us know in the chat. Look at that thing just bubble.
Dang, your camera looks good, man. I gotta up my camera game. Maybe my lighting game too. Although that's not too bad.
No, that looks fine. Ooh, that actually. Oh, it does have a kick. Just a little pepper kick.
We already got another super chat from our homie Novella Hub. $5. He says, looks like we have Hall & Oates hosting tonight's show. Yeah. I mean...
Oh, no, it's coming in. Oh.
I fancy myself Daryl Hall, but, maybe not. Maybe not tonight. Michael Ashley. Just got home from Oregon. I loved it there. Me too. Was born here and decided, hey, it's pretty cool. Never going to leave.
Actually, same here. So.
And then another Michael drinking Jeviette's Baltic Porter, 9.5%. Nice.
Ooh, nice.
Nothing against you two, but I miss Jeff. Yeah, us too. William drinking a New Image Brewing Underworld Barista Vanilla Caramel Affogato Stout. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Bush Light in the chat. I'm digging it.
We got Novella Hub having an Anchorage Unwanted Dead triple IPA, 10%.
Nice. People pulling out some good stuff for tonight's show. Well, glad y'all can be drinking along with us. We might need it to get through the night, but we'll see what happens.
It'll be an interesting night. Jeff's just not feeling too well, so we gave him the day off so he could heal, essentially.
Yeah.
He's safe, just kind of tired.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What do you think? You want to jump into our first news story and get this thing rolling, right?
Yeah, we can do that. And then throughout the time, we'll just see in chat what's going on. So always remember, welcome to chat. Remember, hit like on this video, sub, share it, all that good stuff. And we can now start talking.
Yeah. So you guys, unlike normal weeks, you're going to have to bear with us. I'm not going to have any visual aids for you as we go through the article. As technologically savvy as we all are here, I could not figure out how to get that to work successfully. It would show tab number 1 and never scroll. So you would have been stuck looking at this first story. Elon Musk's regulatory woes mount as the U.S. moves closer to recalling Tesla's self-driving software. That's right. It sounds like they've been having a lot of issues lately trying to get that all sorted out. I guess the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration analyzed a number. There you go. Okay, go ahead and give us the scroll. Give us the scroll as we move down. There we go. There we go.
It's like, there, if everyone pauses right there, takes a separate shot.
Perfect.
Should work.
I guess the first thing is that they decided that they were going to look into more vehicles than they already had been planning on. Almost 1 million, I guess 800,000 or so extra cars. And they were...
Go ahead.
They were looking at a number of accidents that showed a pattern of behavior and performance between the driver and the car. And I guess their findings ultimately warranted what they're calling an upgrade to an engineering analysis. So they're moving from an early evaluation, trying to find these patterns, to now we're going to look at the software behind it, all of the hardware that goes into this sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like to me it's really going down to the whole driver versus the safety issue of the people that are out there. I think we all remember that famous Tesla scene at the E3 where a Tesla ran over a robot during self-driving mode. That's probably cause right there to make people sit there and think, okay, are these self-driving modes actually that good? One of the ones they reference in the article is an accident already happened. Police were on the scene and a Tesla, they didn't name the model, but just rammed right into it and only disengaged the safety protocol or turned on the safety protocol like 1 second prior to hitting. God. So these are small things that are like raise a little bit of a red flag. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not only Tesla, because I know who's the Cadillac also has their own version of a self-driving. I don't know how much, but I know they have like its own lane departure and passing technology. I don't know how much of that is similar to Tesla's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've never liked the idea of not having my hands on the wheel or in control of my car. Yeah. Even if I had that feature, I probably would never want to do it. Maybe like parallel parking. Even that I would be freaked out about.
I've done kind of a shift on this whole thing. I went from being a really big proponent of self-driving or even driverless to now I just think that there needs to be like less need for cars in general. And like, I feel like the idea of driverless cars is just like the weirdest stopgap between that. Like, I don't mind the idea of autonomous, like, I don't know. But I don't know. I'm about to talk in circles on this whole subject, but it's like, putting somebody into a car that's going to drive them to and from work. And I know that there's a lot of thought that goes into this. On the West Coast, the way that would work is like you'd commute to work, your car would sit in a garage, and then you commute home. On the East Coast, they're trying to find ways to do like car shares where, you know, your car would drive you to work and then it would go and pick up the next person and then it would go and pick up the next person and the next person. And like this car would basically be like a robo-taxi shared between, you know, like, I don't imagine like a dozen people, right? Like a dozen people buy into it and you can do it that way. I don't know. I just would rather personally, like, I long for a good bus system, you know? Like,
you're talking about like the Total Recall taxi driver type robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big proponent of self-driving cars, self-driving trucks. To me, there's so many questions into accountability. Then,
yeah,
I don't like.
Yeah,
no.
There's a lot that goes in. I used to feel like, you know, okay, even if there's a certain amount of lives that it saves, whatever. I don't know. It's always worth interrogating a little bit more. It's not like I think it needs to come to a screeching halt this second. But
I like advancement in technology. I like that. I like, hey, here's an idea. Let's pursue it and see where it goes. As being the norm. That's where I'm like, hey, whoa, pump the brakes on that, you know.
Yeah,
I think everyone needs to be in control, but as a cool feature or something that you can take and then put it into something else, maybe, you know, that's always cool. I just like that, you know, as you're building technology, it leads and you can put it into other spots that you normally wouldn't, and you know, it's just advancement in general.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, we'll have to see where it goes. Be kind of interesting. I did get a chance to ride I don't think it was a Tesla. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a Tesla. I got to ride in a driverless car when me and Jeff went to CES a couple years ago. And because of CES, a lot of the taxis were driverless, right? But they had a assistant in there just in case, you know, and he just drove around like hands in his lap, just watching, you know, and it was kind of impressive. You could see on the screen all of the things that the car was seeing and using to make its determinations. Yeah.
Yeah, that would freak me out though.
Well, and that's what was weird is like it wasn't just showing you stuff that was on the road. Like it was showing you people that were inside buildings, like on second floors.
Yeah,
like how it detects all that.
It's probably having to look for like someone threw something. You know?
True, right?
What if someone threw a brick in the road or a large object like a TV? It's Vegas. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the computing, you know, processing power that would have to take and how much energy that would take. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff, and I see benefits and I see horrible side effects, and there's a lot to weigh.
Lethal Resonance in chat says, I think self-driving cars could work really well if they do not share the road with human drivers. Maybe there should be special roads only self-driving cars drive on. I think that's kind of neat, but then that's like, it's like a train, right? Like just build more trains.
Yeah.
Like
I've always thought of like, why don't they put in like a metal copper wire system into existing roads of like this stretch of road, you can then turn on your feature because there's an electromagnetic wire,
like an RFID or something.
Yeah. So during this next 25 to 50 miles, you can let go.
There you go. That would be really interesting.
You know, and then within the next 5 miles, it warns you, hey, within X amount of time, you know, you have to turn it back on.
See, that could be really interesting if done in certain places. Like, imagine if every car in the future had a self-driving feature. Yeah. And as you're coming into Portland at 5 o'clock, it just goes engaging self-driving mode, and you never hit congestion because every car is self-driving for a short stretch. And only on I-5, you know, like.
Oh, yeah. I know the exact spot you're talking about.
Oh, God. I could use some some self-driving cars there, man. It's bad.
Yeah, exactly. But then imagine, you know, all your semis, everyone's going the same speed limit then. Everyone's merging it. And if something happened, it can automatically adjust for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not all the time. So I don't know. That's always been my thought.
Jeff's in chat. He says driverless cars would be great if they were all on rails and maybe stopped every 3 miles or so to let people on and off. Yeah, I'd be for that.
Yeah, if they had like a drinking section that you could put and like walk through, that'd be fantastic. And maybe I'll have like a little model version that I could build miniatures of.
Yeah. Looking through chat really quick. Make sure we didn't miss anything. Somebody here says, I can't get into the beer scene. I don't blame you.
It's all right. You don't have to get into the beer scene. I mean,
he does say though next that he tried Dragon's Milk and did not like it.
No, come on. Well, that's kind of like mid-level beer drinker.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not gonna sit here and say that there are like levels to beer drinking, but if you don't really like beer, that's kind of an intense one to start with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't start with a domestic, but like a pale. Like
what everybody starts with in Oregon is a good Hefeweizen.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't even say it was a good one, but it is at least a Hefeweizen. Widmer's totally fine.
Yeah, why not?
Very good Widmer. It's just different than your standard lager, but it's still light, same ABV, so you're gonna get just as the same feeling essentially. But it's just a slightly different flavor. It can accent different foods. That's what it's for. I mean, if you like different sodas, there's just as many sodas as there are beers.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. So I don't know, maybe don't give up on it quite yet. But again, there's no shame or problem or issue with not being into beer. American Cosworth says I-205 near PDX needs something, and boy howdy, you know what they're getting? Tolls. It's going to become a toll road.
You want to know what stinks? Is right when it starts, I'm the next exit to go to work. So I have to take that. I have to take the toll, but only for like a quarter mile.
That's the dumbest. Yeah, the whole thing. I'm just mad. I'm like, we pay amongst the highest gas taxes in.
Oh my gosh.
In the country, we should not have tolls. What about I-205 needs toll? Is it because it's congested? They're trying to get people to use other roads? Because there's only like 3 bypasses for Portland, and that's one of them.
They can't figure out the congestion in Wilsonville. And they're like, well, because we can't figure it out, let's just tax people on it.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, what are you going to do? Ready for the next story?
Let's go.
The next story about everybody's favorite first web browser, Internet Explorer. Maybe not your first. I don't know.
It wasn't my first, but yeah. It's probably one of the most common, everyone knows, and probably one of the most belovedly hated.
It used to be my favorite way to download Google Chrome.
Exactly. Great.
But it sounds like Internet Explorer, the web browser from Microsoft themselves, is going bye-bye.
Officially today.
Right. Oh, yeah, today, June 15th, 2022.
Today is the final day that they will no longer do any support for Microsoft Internet Explorer. So officially, it is dead, survived by Microsoft Edge, the browser which launched in 2015, and very few people still use it today. So,
right.
like that.
So. Yeah, it's been a while. I think most people know Internet Explorer at this point. I guess their whole point that they're trying to make is that Edge is better. At least that's what they're saying here on this article on Yahoo rather. Yoo-hoo. They're basically saying that Microsoft Edge is faster, it's more secure, it's a more modern browsing experience, and it's time to jump ship. Apparently, Edge is also able to address compatibility issues for legacy websites, which is a big thing that I've had to use it for. There's a big database from the military that I've had to use a couple times, and it only opens on Internet Explorer. I haven't tested it on Edge, but
Edge is Chromium based. Internet Explorer is not. It was its own proprietary stuff, and a lot of like Microsoft based software or old programs and websites where you would have coding issues. I remember building stuff for web pages, and it would be like, oh yeah, it works in Internet Explorer, but it doesn't work in Google Chrome or Firefox.
Right.
It would format weird, and that was the thing. And now everything is kind of starting to be a little bit more standardized, and people are just adjusting their algorithms for searching and whatnot. But yeah, so like, yeah, I do like Edge a bit more than Chrome. It is less memory dependent, but I mean, Google Chrome's got all the wonderful little plugins, and you're just kind of used to it. And
right, yeah,
you know, it exactly like you said. Everyone used Internet Explorer to download Chrome, and it became the number one. And I think they're just a little bit too late.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting too when you look at the way that Microsoft really became the dominant player in its space. You know, since they were kind of like industry standard, like 101 for like office environments and things like this, they could simply include with their operating systems software like Internet Explorer, which basically directly led to something like Netscape, you know, right? Netscape Navigator or whatever.
Netscape. Yeah.
Basically being sort of obliterated. And in fact, like, I'm pretty sure the Netscape thing was what Microsoft faced monopoly charges for back in the 90s, was Netscape and Internet Explorer.
It was they were like forcing you, they pre-installed IE on all the Windows devices, and they were like basically force you to use their browser, where back in, it was 95 when IE came out, something like that. But early 90s, you know, so like 95 to like 99-esque, Netscape was still very dominant in the you know, browser. I remember looking up tabs all the time on that thing.
Right. Well, and what's interesting is it wasn't just Netscape that Microsoft did this to. Apparently there was a lot of like really fantastic word processors that were available for people to use, and when offices started buying Windows to use in their environments, they would just load them up with Microsoft Word, and suddenly nobody knows about these other word processors. It's kind of interesting. If anybody's interested in hearing about that a little bit more, there's a podcast called Behind the Bastards, and they do a really good review of Bill Gates, and they just talk about the kind of crummy business deals that they did as far as like free and open, you know, computing and internet landscape goes. So we do got a couple super chats real quick I want to get to, so thank you guys for those. First one is from Ryan Sharp, 199. Okay, who killed Jeff and how did you do it? Well, it wasn't hard. Just a little like, you know, he's a tall dude.
Really quick snap. He's a lot more fragile than you think. You know, it's interesting.
Well, I think the height gives you a lot of leverage when you're breaking the spine.
Yeah, so, exactly. It was basically, I got him from the bottom, and then Rhett just kind of went and like Stone Cold Steve Austin stunnered him, but I kept him still straight up and snapped. You know, I think all the years of drinking just made those bones fragile.
Nice and brittle. Brittle. Luckily, he might be back next week if we get in touch with the corpse reanimator that we hired. So we'll see how that works out. But of course, the next super chat from Tech Geek 01, 50 big old bucks. Thank you so much. Cheers to you.
Cheers, Tech Geek.
He says, a bit late to the party today, updated my BIOS and was getting blue screen problems. Evening to you both, Rhett and John. Got to install smart boards in a building with no AC and 105 heat index today. Oh. Drinking a Mountain Dew and sitting the F down. Dude, here's to that. Everywhere in the whole country is experiencing crazy weather right now. And like, we kind of are too, but it's just been kind of cool. Like cooler than normal.
Opposite.
Yeah.
We're getting wet a lot.
And like we had some flooding. I heard that like something happened to the Bowie Brewery up in Astoria. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it collapsed. It's insane. Like the whole I when I read it, I talked to the guys there. It was the production side. So no one got hurt, luckily, but buoy is indefinitely closed for a very long time.
I heard it fell into the river.
It collapsed. The beams underneath fell into the river, and a lot of it collapsed upon itself. Basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah, it was Yellowstone flooded and took out part of the road to get into Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That was some pretty crazy looking stuff.
Yeah, it's all over. And then there's fires down in Arizona, so if you're down there near Flagstaff, stay safe. And of course 105 wherever Tech Geek was, so oof.
Well, he's inside of a building too. He's got all the servers and probably everything just running off that.
Right, yeah. That sucks, man. Anyway, yeah, hopefully everybody can get some reprieve. There is something about a Mountain Dew. I don't drink that much pop anymore, but I had a Mountain Dew today after working outside. And it's just like, man, something about like the sugar and all that just like got me going.
Yeah, I don't drink too much soda anymore.
Yeah, I rarely do.
I think my son, all the soda that we have is like my son has it, and then we water it down. So even if I do have it, it's watered down, or it's flat because we'll keep it around and then we'll just put it back in the fridge.
Yeah.
So it's just like, there you go. So.
No, it's funny. I used to do that all the time as a kid, and I thought that was like normal. I mean, I think it must be normal for kids, right? But for like as an adult, I'm like, I've never put anything back in the fridge.
I have taste.
Yeah,
I have quality, high standards.
Right.
My soda must be crisp and fresh every time.
Remember
a new bottle.
Remember they used to sell those things you'd twist onto like a 2-liter, and then you'd like pump it to like.
Oh yeah, like it would like suck the air out or put air back into it.
Put air back into it. Yeah, I think like I don't know. You know,
yes.
They basically got pulled out every time we'd order a pizza because you get a 2-liter with your pizza or whatever, and it's like, geez, 2 liters of pop. That was a lot back then. I mean, then I started going to 7-Eleven. I give 50 cents for a whole 64 ounces. So,
oh gosh, I know.
Changed my life. Gulp. So anyway,
I'm not diabetic.
Yeah, I know, same. Farewell, pour one out today for Internet Explorer. I don't know if the internet will be better off or not, but you know, I seem to be getting along just fine without it. So,
yeah, how will that meme now work with the Rick and Morty, like you said? Now someone's gonna change it to be Edge.
Yeah, I guess so. Everybody's talking about the weather in chat.
I am personally actually not enjoying. I mean, I do like rain because it keeps everything green. Great. Not enjoying it because it also stops me from working outside, and I have a lot of yard work to do.
Dude, you and me both.
Annoying.
You and me both. I can't get anything.
I don't know
done.
how many blackberries you have, Rhett, but man, I got some blackberry problems.
I don't have any blackberries, luckily. My outdoor problems right now are very first world.
I would say blackberry problems are still pretty first world. I mean, like, I want to get rid of something that provides me fruit.
Right. Delicious fruit.
Yeah, delicious Oregon blackberries, or I should say Marion berries. But it's like, I don't like the thorns.
Yeah, well, and they're just like weeds, man. If you don't do something about them now, they're going to be twice as bad next summer and twice as bad the summer after that. It's
exactly.
So you can't sleep on them too long. We had some today. I was out topping the hedges out of my grandpa's house, and his freaking hedges are out of control. They're like 15 feet high, and the blackberries are growing straight up outside of and then they're coming out the top.
Yes, that's what I'm having to deal with.
So we're like out there like trimming and cutting the arborvitae, and like sometimes there's just a bundle of vines going straight up the side of one of these trunks. It's like, oh God, come on.
And then you gotta clip it, pull it out, dig the thing out. But then as you're pulling it, all these huge thorns get you. Yeah, no. I always have to wear long sleeve shirts, jeans, and then half the time I deal with it is it's a hot day, and so I just come out sweating.
Yeah.
I feel like Tech Geek, and it's 105, and I gotta wear flannel and jeans.
Yeah, you have to like just dress for battle, basically. Yeah. Michael Stevens says 15-foot hedge is not a hedge; it's a tree. Yeah, basically. We had to have taken like 6 feet off those things, so they're a little bit more manageable now. Next story is one that I wish Jeff was here for, but I think we'll manage just fine. So a couple weeks ago, the specs for the Apple M2 chip released, and I think yesterday they opened up for pre-sale, so you can now pre-order your next, MacBook with the M2 chip in it. And today, it looks like there was some benchmarks that were released. And I'd encourage everybody to go and take a look at this yourself if you're super interested on tomshardware.com. But for the most part, the general impression that I'm getting is that it's, kind of expected. I was telling Jeff about this earlier, about this story, and he goes, oh yeah, well, they were expecting these numbers, and he was like spot on with what the story is saying. So they got a 10% gain in single-threaded performance, a 16% gain in multi-threaded, but whatever they did to the GPU, I think they included some more graphics cores. They got a 67% boost in speed, which is pretty significant. I think it was a lot more than they were looking for, and I'm pretty sure the Apple M1 was no slouch. There you go. Look at what John's holding up for you.
There we go.
And
all links for these articles are in the description, so if you want to check this out, go check out the description.
Yeah, there you go. Go do that. They are down there.
Yeah, they're down there.
How does that work? Did Jeff do that? He
like,
must have.
Red, do you not know where the notes are?
No, I don't. I'm just a pretty face, guys. But it'll be pretty interesting. I'm not sure, if the performance boost is worth the cost. But I think time will tell. Of course, these are just run through like strict benchmarking environments. They're not. This isn't like real world application or anything like that. So as these start coming out, I think they come out June 24th. I could be wrong. I'm sure it's in the article, but I'm sure they come out sometime soon, given that pre-orders are open. We'll begin to see a little bit more of a realistic peek at what we can come to expect with performance, and then you can make the decision if the cost is right for you or not.
Yeah, I mean, anyone's talked or listened to this show, you'll know that everyone here was really impressed with the M1. Jeff really enjoyed. He's got that little laptop with the Apple M1 in it. Just a really wonderful power horse, a processor.
Not only that, what impressed me, he was telling me the other day that he was one of those days that it was we were in the heat dome last year when it was like 115, 117 some places. Like he had to do an outdoor wedding.
Yes, I remember that.
And he took his MacBook with him with the N1 chip in it. And every other piece of equipment that he had was dying because of the heat. But his MacBook never failed, which I think says something. That's pretty cool. So
yeah, and that was the first gen of their processors, which everyone was like, I don't know, who knows? We have to make them prove it. And now it was kind of proven, and now we have the M2s, and there's some benchmarks. And I think the last time Jeff and I talked about this was we were kind of comparing it to the Asus, not Asus, AMD processors that came out, and how everyone was basically, putting those off, and not, it's AMD. They're just, AMD processors. Who cares? The Ryzens. And then they showed up, and the first gen Ryzens were really, really good. They had their problems, but they were really, really good. And then when Gen 2 came out, they were amazing. And now when you have a really good track of the M1 Apple M1s, and now you have a track of Apple M2s, and they're already above expectations by at least 10% of just standard testing, what's going to happen when it gets into the consumer's hands? It's probably going to be even a little bit better. So this is a really, really good sign for Apple and their processors, which are made in-house for them. So
yeah,
this is really good stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it'll be interesting to see if anybody picks that up. You should let us know in the next one of the next talking heads, or
yeah. Well, if anyone even in chat even has access to like an M1, it'd be interesting to hear your experience with the M1, say, versus Jeff. So that would
that's true. Well, that brings us to the end of tech news for the night.
Yeah, it was an extremely slow week.
Yeah.
I was very busy today, and so I like early in the actually it was yesterday. I threw in the beer news. I was like, okay, so that way I don't have to research it today. And I was slowly checking the notes to be like, all right, what's the article like Jeff's gonna add? And I wasn't even on Twitter for like half the day.
Yeah.
And so I get home, I'm like, Jeff didn't really put anything in the article. Well, sometimes last minute he'll just like throw a bunch in. I was like, okay, I'll do, before we get on the show, I'll quickly read through them. It's getting later and later and later. I'm like, Jeff hasn't thrown anything on. And we were babysitting my nephew, Steve's kid. And Steve comes over and he's like, so you're going to be on the show with Rhett. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Rhett? And he's like, yeah, didn't you see? I'm like, oh, okay, it's not in Ready Room. It's not in our Discord and, or for the servers. It's like, okay, that's weird. I don't pay attention. It's like, oh no, it's in Talking Heads. It's like, oh, I just saw people posting links. And that's what Jeff posted, was a link to his Twitter account.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
I didn't see it either, really, until he of course was letting me know that it was probably going to happen earlier, and then he came back and he's like, well, I'm feeling good enough, maybe I will. And then he came back, he's like, it's just not going to work out. So if you guys want to do this, and I said, we had a blast last time, so let's just do it and see where it goes.
Yeah, that's fine. So. I got no problem. But if you guys want to be ahead of the curve of me, you got to join the Patreon, and that's the Discord channel and all the super secret, awesome other chats that we got on there. To do that, that's the link below. It's a minimum of $1. I know you might not want. I know you might want a little more tech content, but I mean, come on, this is the good stuff.
This is the good stuff.
This is the cream in the center of the Oreo. This is the sweet stuff.
Yeah, Jeff is the hard, crunchy, disgusting outside. We're the soft, delicious, sugary, sweet inside.
I know. It's like, I've never killed anyone, but the closest I ever have is when I dunk an Oreo and it stops bubbling.
So yeah, go ahead and check out patreon.com/craftcomputing. Join up on the Discord, and that helps keep the lights on here, around here rather. And so too does our sponsor for today, Linode. Today's episode of Talking Heads is brought to you by Linode. If you've ever needed to host your own servers, whether it be for home or business, but don't have the resources or time to invest in hardware, power, cooling, even space, why not have Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes the software from most of the tutorials on my channel, like how to run your own ad blocking, recursive DNS servers, VPN gateways, your own cloud-based Plex server, and more. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep your backups off-site, because remember, RAID is not a backup. Linode has also recently announced that they are the first alternative cloud provider to have NVMe block storage available to all customers. In September, they began rolling out NVMe drives to all 11 of their global data centers. Best of all, storage rates will remain at the same low price they always have been. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing today and get a $100 60-day credit when starting a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing. And thanks again to Linode for sponsoring today's video.
Thanks, Linode, for sponsoring the
channel. You could host your own ad blocking, but that one is always going to get through. Sorry, guys. That's just the way it goes. Patreon helps keep the lights on, but so too does Linode. Oh, I need another beer.
Well, I had a tall boy for mine, so it is... I said it wasn't spicy, but You know when you have a mint and your breath is now always cold, that chill? That's what this pepper is doing to me. Every time I breathe in, it's got this like burning sensation. It's good because there's a really nice sweetness from the blood orange, but that habanero, it's a great balance if you're looking for a light peppered beer or peppered cider, actually.
It sounds delightful. I love anything with a pepper in it.
I mean, it's really nice. Actually, you would probably really like it. It's the blood orange almost gives it like a honey characteristic, but then there's just this heat that lingers, and it's not really on your tongue. It's more like in your chest. So,
like the the beer that was the world's strongest beer.
oh yeah, yes. I was like, yes, Rhett. Beer.
There was no peppers in that though.
No, that was just pure burning.
Yeah,
burning from hell.
Oh, let's go ahead and check on chat. Thanks, guys, for sticking with us through this this fun episode.
We got Novella says, good job on the Linode.
Can I say, Daddy pays the bills, you know? Oh,
you're
Zachary.
doing a repeat of your Mac and Jack?
I am, yeah. Oh. It's all I have right now.
Okay.
But it's such a good beer. Like, it's, it's an amber ale, which occasionally you'll hear me say that ambers are my favorite beer. But then I have so many bad ones in pursuit of the good ones. And, we're a little spoiled here in the Northwest for beer. So it's part of it. Yeah, just a little bit. So part of it is it's on me, right? I have certain expectations that can't always be met. And I don't know what it is about this beer. It's just one of those that I would find on tap occasionally at places that had amazing food. Coin Jam was like chief among them. And so it was like every time I was going to Coin Jam, it was like their one beer that was always on tap.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll just keep getting that. I'll just keep getting that. It's really good. And I don't know exactly why they call it the African amber. It's apparently just an unfiltered dry hopped amber, and they've been making it since 1994. I don't know. It's just a really good mainstay. It's 5.8%, so it's not necessarily like a banger, but you could drink a couple of them and have a good time.
It's bigger than my cider.
Nice. See?
So my cider's only 5.6, so you're the heavyweight right now.
It's just so malty and good and like drinkable,
Well, that's what I do like about ambers. I mean, I agree with you. An amber beer is really well done, and when it's really well done, is a really good beer. It is one of my personal favorites too. I think in the Northwest, a lot of people when they use amber or when they say amber, it's just a grain bill issue, and what they're using is a nice sweet malty or hop or grain. And a lot of people now are using like over roasted. It almost gets a burnt or coffee flavor or roasty flavor. And I don't like those as an amber or red. I like more of the sweeter end. I like that I can have an African or a Mac and Jack, and it can almost be cold and then room temperature too, and I'll still enjoy it with both temperatures.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good point. It's something that you can have in a glass. I think that's why it worked at Coin Jam so well, because Coin Jam, for those out of the know, it's kind of our local adults arcade, if you will, not the sexy kind, but the kind where you go and put quarters in the machines and play games. And they've got a whole pinball. They've got all these classic arcade games. It's like Chuck E. Cheese's for adults, where the food is delicious freaking pork belly tacos and then
you get to go play Street Fighter.
Yeah, and you go Altered Beast or something, and you get out there, you get your beers out at the machines, and you just have a good time. And it's like, okay, they had a 4-person Pac-Man machine, so you set your beer up on the table and you start throwing down with your friends on 4-person Pac-Man. Fun. Dude, that game slapped so hard.
I know.
And and the beer just lasted with you all night. So
yeah, that was nice. And it's like you said, it's from 94, started in 94. They've been producing this for a long time. So they're a pretty larger brewery. So you can get this beer for a really decent price here in the Northwest.
Yeah.
And I think they distribute it quite far.
Yeah, I hope they do. It's not often I can find it in the can. It's usually something I find on tap a lot more often. But I did get it at grocery outlet, and I think it was $10 for a 6 pack, which isn't like amazing, but it's certainly among the lower. And granted, they're not tall boys or anything, but
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, they're local, so it's Redmond, Washington.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. What temperature do you prefer porters and stouts to be? I'm not gonna lie. I prefer, my beers to be definitely more around like 50 degrees. I don't like it to be too much warmer than that. Like, I like a cooler beer in general. I feel like even cooler porters are just where it's at. People say the flavors open up a lot more at room temperature for stouts and porters, but I just don't necessarily care.
yeah.
Maybe they do, and that's fine. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's even to that, I would have to stay, you have to then also look. I mean, this is getting to the stupid beer side of me, but ABV, what is it? Is it barrel aged? Is it not barrel aged? So what style of porter? Is it like a Belgian stout? Is it just an American stout, barrel aged? Is it a breakfast stout? All these different things. Do you want sweeter? Do you want less? Basically, the good rule of thumb is if you want it sweeter and you like it sweeter, have it warmer, because that's going to bring out the malt aspect. If you want less sweetness and more bittering or crispy flavors, that's where you want it to be colder. So if you basically just find a beer you like and you're like, man, I just wish this was not as sweet, cool it down some more. Put it in a lower temperature.
Yeah.
Or you're like, I really like this. I wish it was just a little bit warmer. Just like I was saying with the Mac and Jack, if it warms up a little bit, I think that's where I like it the best, is a little bit just below room temperature, like 50, like you were saying, 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably supposed to be served at like 45.
Yeah, I think most of them always say like 45 to 48 or something like that. Like, Skull does, he said, I don't know where he found this, but in chat, Skull says it started as an African yeast that they use. And if you ever go to their brewery, that yeast has developed into this insane fermenting Franken yeast, which is extremely quick in how it ferments. So, that's kind of interesting.
Interesting.
There's like a whole microbiology aspect to beer brewing that just sounds so fun. But,
well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this on the show plenty of times of like, that's why those weird yeast, like from a sunken pirate ship.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll make that because.
Or like when Rogue did they did the wild yeast ones and.
Yeah, they did, or the guy, one out of the guy's beer.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, you don't know what it's going to do. So let's play with it. And then they can mutate it into doing other flavors too. And yeah, there are, I think we talked about it like 2 years ago. There's even Y Labs, one of the bigger yeast companies. They're even doing like yeast now to have hoppy notes, and so you don't even need as much hops. So it's it's like you want that double IPA, but have a low IBUs or something like that. It just tastes like trees. Well, you only need to add an ounce of these hops because the yeast does the rest of the work.
It is kind of interesting. They did a study years ago, and they could find where I'm sure they could do it for brewers or something, but for bakers, they could tell where in the world sourdough came from just by either analyzing yeast collected off their fingertips or by analyzing the bread itself, because the yeast strains are so geographically specific.
Oh yeah,
they can narrow it down. Like I think like the study about the sourdough bread was conducted like just in parts of Northern Europe, like Germany and like maybe parts of Scandinavia, and they were like I maybe I'm butchering this, but I remember it being like to the street in Germany. They were able to like
oh wow,
yeah. So who knows if that's the case. Where is this arcade? It sounds amazing. Well, the one I was talking about is called Coin Jam. It's in Salem, Oregon. Portland has their own kind of one called Ground Control. That's pretty cool. I think the idea of those arcades are kind of taken off a little bit, so that's kind of fun.
Have you seen the one in Astoria?
No, I didn't even know there was one.
Oh, I sent it to Jeff. We all have to go. It's called, if you got your computer in front of you, check a look at Galactic Arcade and Tap House.
I don't have a computer in front of me. That's
Well, okay.
I've seen.
If it's just some weird etch a sketch, just try sketching it in there. But it looks like it's supposed to look like a cantina from Star Wars.
Galactic's Arcade.
Galactics TIX Arcade and Tap House
Oh,
Astoria.
this looks dope.
Yeah, right. It just opened up like last year. It's all pinball retro video games, but it's all like Tron and like I said, Cantina, Star Wars Cantina themed.
Yeah, it's just got a
type.
sci-fi vibe.
Yeah.
That's cool. That looks like a lot of fun. I'd definitely be down for a trip for that.
But yeah, no, the whole idea of the arcade and beer. I mean, because all the big beer drinkers now are people our age or between like the 40s and under, essentially, and we all played, NES and up, and that's what we want to play again.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, I got a good beer or a cool beer, and I want to play old video games now because there aren't really any new modern arcades anymore.
Not really, games. Right? Like,
I remember back in the day, it first came out on arcade, and then it went to console, but it was the dumbed down graphics because they couldn't support the high end graphics. Granted, so it was always like Killer Instinct or Street Fighter or something looks so good on arcade, and then 6 months later it was downgraded to a 16-bit Super Nintendo Sega Genesis, and you had to play it on that, and you're just like, oh, there's something special about the arcade.
Yeah. Granted, I went into some arcades when I was in Japan, and that's like not really applicable to this conversation at all, but damn, they had some really cool looking arcade games. And not only like they had a lot of games that like pushed the boundary of what we would consider like games in the United States, Like they have so many rhythm games, so many things where you're like doing stuff with your body or like using some weird controller or like peripheral to like do stuff. Like, I don't know. It was kind of neat.
That just sounds like a Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, maybe. I guess it's been a while. I've only been to that Dave and Buster's once back when I was auditioning for The Amazing Race. So.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say America's Got Talent.
Nah, Amazing Race. Yeah, don't mess around with that other crap.
I remember I remember that when that audition came around, I was talking to our mutual friend Freddie, and I was like, dude, we should go on that.
He would be a funny one, actually. That's a good idea. I'd watch that. I'd watch you guys trying to hustle across the country or wherever it is.
Yeah. We got some beer news or some alcohol related news. We can get into that really quick.
Yeah, I think it's a good time.
Yeah, so officially, so we've all seen it, and we've talked about it on this show plenty of times, the pre-made cocktails and the sodas that are always who's it? I did a video on this of Jack Daniel's released their own Coca-Cola version of a Jack and Coke, but it was their cola, and Coke came up with a hard Coke, but it was their alcohol. Well, it has officially become official. Yeah, sure, that sentence worked. Coca-Cola and Jack Daniel's are actually finally coming together, their own two brands, to make an official Jack Daniel's and Tennessee Whiskey Coca-Cola. So an official Jack and Coke by the two brands together. And it is also going to be coming in a Coke Zero option. It's still going to be the 5% ABV. So I'm not super happy about that, but whatever, that's your typical stuff. But the one interesting thing I did see from this article, it stated that it's actually going to use Jack Daniel's whiskey in the Coke, in the pre-mix, where most of the time what you see is just malt liquor and a whiskey flavoring. So I will be very interested to see if they actually state in the ingredients Jack Daniel's whiskey, or is it like Jack Daniel's malt liquor? That'll be an interesting thing. But it's it's being officially launched in Mexico late of 2020, but then a full US launch beginning 2023. So be on the lookout for a new up and comer, and I believe this is their kind of strike back at Mountain Dew, which is PepsiCo, joining up with Boston Brewery. beer company to make the hard Mountain Dew. So which was what Jeff always talks about is what Mountain Dew was originally made for, was to mix with a whiskey, as a mixer. So now you have this. So I'm wondering if this is Coke's way into trying to get into the hard alcoholic market, or I guess the alcohol market.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Do you find that the, those drinks that, like Jack and Coke, for example, are as good as the name that everybody knows, or do you prefer like an alternative recipe? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know you're basically saying, is whiskey and Coke, or is it Jack, or
right, or like another one that everybody knows is like 7 and 7, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that Crown 7 and 7 Up is like the peak of that recipe, or is it like whiskey and 7 Up in general, Yeah. Or whiskey and some lemon lime flavored soda?
Well, what's funny is I will state Jack Daniel's has a very unique flavor.
Yeah.
At least to me, it does. If Big Spoon is in the chat, trust me, he'll probably say something about that. If I have a whiskey and Coke and a Jack and Coke, I can tell you what is what. The 7-7, no. So I do think Jack and Coke is Jack and Coke. There's just this unique flavor that Jack and Coke have. Now, you like it or not, but I think there is a unique flavor. As far as whiskey and Coke, it's like, or rum and Coke, any one of them, I don't care. I'll use, what is it? The Monarch rum and Coke. I don't care. It's cheap $8.
Yeah, but I mean, Monarch is great anyway. So
honestly, that's my go-to cheap stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you're at a bar, you're trying to make it last, who cares?
No.
It all gets you messed up the same way.
Yeah. I have like 3 bottles that I keep in the house, and then the rest are out here in the studio. And one's Seagram 7 for my whiskey, and then for my rum is the Monarch. And so it's just like, it's just cheap and goes good with everything.
Yeah,
basically.
The Seagram 7, that's my go-to. I like the flavor of it in general anyway, so it's like,
I do too. Honestly, I can drink it straight, good enough with just on ice.
Yeah.
It kind of, I get a little vanilla flavor out of it, so I'm like, man, this works.
Yeah.
And I have that, and then I have Rose City Distillery vodka.
Oh, there you go.
Those are my 3.
Yeah, I've been buying that a lot lately too. I don't know why. I think it seems like the liquor stores are displaying it front and center, and I was like, oh, Rose City, okay.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Hey, it's local, it's cool. As far as the vodka, I'm like, this is a clean spirit, so I got no problem with it.
There you go.
So,
all right, well, there you have it. Jack and Coke coming soon to a store near you.
Yeah, an official Jack and Coke. So.
It is kind of interesting, because the reason I brought that other question up, by the way, is because when I was in Japan, it was really common to go to grocery stores and they had like pre-mixed cocktails like in cans already.
Yeah.
And like they call them highballs, which is just like, I think it's like whiskey and some sort of like carbonated mix. And I think most highballs are generally like ginger ale, but I had it like a cola highball a couple of times when I was there, because, I go to the grocery store and buy booze apparently rather than like going out or something. But a lot easier to buy from a grocery store than it is to like navigate a bar sometimes when you don't understand the language.
Well, it's funny because is it called Highball? There's a brand of like cheap malt liquor now here that you can get like Winco that's called Highball.
Well, I saw that Winco does have these weird like mixture, like mocktail things that are like malt liquor and like some sort of flavor, Who is it? It was John the Net guy. He introduced me into Chicha's pre-made mixed malt liquors, and those are too sweet for me. That was too malt liquory for me, and they came out with a bunch of those. But yeah, but I've seen a couple people, especially at my work, because like, buzz balls. I'm thinking buzz balls. Buzz balls, yeah, those are everywhere.
Balls
is
what I'm thinking, and they're like 19%, and they're like $1.25.
Yeah, you can get them on Winco on sale for $1 a piece sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a lot of guys at my work will be like, "Yeah, I just patted like 6 of these down just before lunch or after lunch." I'm like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah.
You know, uh, okay. So it's just that's not impressive and that's not cool, but whatever, man.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's like this era's like MD 2020 or something, you know?
Yeah, I know, right? Really. Although I kind of I wouldn't mind. There was a couple. There's a back. Was it early two? Yeah, it's 2000s. I did the MD 2020 video, and I went and looked on their website. They got some really weird flavors now. Like they have like 4K gold. They have like a gold Schlager version. Or they have
Interesting.
like gold flakes inside MD 2020. I'm like, I want that one.
I would try it, I guess. Why not? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's see. There is some other beer news. We have a recall from Coors Light and Keystone. This one was kind of, you needed a visual aid for because it's pretty disgusting, actually. And I don't even know how or
gross.
what happened. If Rhett, you might want to scroll down and take a look at that video that's posted in the article. It's pretty nasty looking. It is local though, so it's local to St. Louis.
Sorry, St. Louis.
So, but it's cans, packages of Coors Light and Keystone Light, and apparently, whatever happened in the process, the beer is just turned into syrup or some thick liquid.
Yeah.
Goo.
In the video, you can see this guy, and he's pouring out his beer, and he's taking his finger, and you have the stream of beer coming straight down, and he's taking his finger, and he's bending the stream of beer as though it's syrup, or it's really gross. If you can pull that up, hold your phone up.
That's what I was doing to do, because it is that entertaining. But I'll mute it.
It looks like it's a TikTok as well.
It is, yeah. So there's a couple. It was found on TikTok, and but my gosh, it is
Clint Ward 3 on TikTok. If y'all want to look it up for yourself, maybe one of the mods can grab it and throw it in too. Not that we want to make a habit of throwing TikTok in the chat, but
yeah. Now everyone's, but I mean, you can always sub to Hops and Brews on TikTok too. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, or me, the guy who's never posted a TikTok, but created one because I lost a bet.
Like it opened TikTok, and then it was like, yeah, I'm not going to open up the video you wanted.
Oh, weird. Rest assured, it looks gross. Like
it looks gross. And there was another video. They didn't post it in the article, but this lady holds it up and pours it out, and the wind just like flaps the thick Keystone Light in the wind, because it's, you know how like if you were to pour honey out and you can just see it like trail.
Yeah,
that's what it's doing, and it's like, oh my gosh, that is disgusting. Now, Keystone or Molson Coors, people have tried to get a hold of them. They have refused to comment on what happened. They just said, hey, it's very local. Just to be safe, we're recalling everything within that region. But if you live within that region, check a look at this article. There's a UPC code.
Yeah.
You can check against it and see if you have a pack. If you do, please send it to me. I would like to review these.
Ooh, good call.
I would drink it. At least try it. Anyway.
Yeah, it looks like there are 6 UPC codes. All of them are in St. Louis. It looks like they were brewed in Ohio. So, yeah, kind of weird. Not sure quite how that happened.
No, it's pretty bad looking. I was like, oh.
And it's kind of interesting. It looks like, because the first thing go ahead.
I gotta let's see if we can get this. Look at this guy's finger. He's gonna.
There you go. There it is, guys.
It just jiggled. Look at that.
Ugh.
I mean, that's like, yeah.
Yeah. And somebody in chat kind of says what I was about to say. They said, I'd want to see them open it and then pour. Because my first question is like, well, maybe they could fake it, but it forgot, like, they have voluntarily recalled it. They've identified where the issue is, which brewer it is, which UPCs it is. And not only that, it looks like it's at least somewhat verified by Snopes, if fact checking is important to you. That is linked to the initial article in Food and Wine. I'm telling you guys to go to freaking TikTok and look at stuff. It's in the description, the show notes down below.
Yeah.
If you go to the Coors and Keystone Pulls beer at Food and Wine, you can see the TikTok video, and you can kind of see where it links to Snopes about their sort of look at it. I'm not sure exactly what they were able to prove or not, but they were.
Well, I think too with doing it, I think too that they don't know it's gonna do that is the thing, and
Right.
so that's probably why. And they're like, oh my gosh, this just happened to me. And I know in that one of the other TikTok videos, it was a lady said this is a second beer out of the pack. So it made it sound like maybe it's not the same, because when a mass production gets lined out and then a lot of these beers gets pushed. Now, I would think it all came from the same tank. To me, it kind of looks like maybe there wasn't any water.
Right, that's what my thought.
To thin it out, or the maybe they add carbonated water. I don't know the process that these large macro breweries are doing these things that I only know how smaller craft breweries do it, and I would assume it's got to be the same, but
maybe not.
It's weird.
They're huge.
That's why I was so confused. I don't know how beer would turn into this gelatinous state unless the brewing process wasn't being monitored.
Right.
Maybe there was that.
Could have just been some error in the line too. I mean, here's what Snopes says. Apparently, they reached out to Molson Coors via email, and they got a response from a spokesperson that said, at Molson Coors, quality is our top priority. So when we became aware of the quality issue and some packs of Coors and Keystone Light produced at the Trenton Brewery in Ohio, we chose to voluntarily withdraw those packs from the market. While we've chosen to voluntarily withdraw them, there are no food and health risks associated with them. The issue is with one can line that produces 12-ounce tall cans. It impacted only a small percentage of cans produced on the line, and it has since been resolved. Work is already underway to replenish inventory as quick as possible because our national inventory position on the SKUs is stronger than it has been in years. We're able to divert production into this market area from other breweries. And then they list the UPCs. So there you have it. I mean, they acknowledge the issue. They acknowledge that it was one line. And I could just envision, like, I don't know. In my mind, I'm thinking, like, maybe there's some sort of pasteurization process or something that went wrong. Like, I probably don't pasteurize beer, but it's Coors. Who knows what they do? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty weird stuff. So, but yeah, if you have access, I'd like to try it.
Jeff is calling for somebody to ban you for showing that video.
That's fine. I'll just go into Talking Heads jail for a week. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll be back. So there you have it. If you're from St. Louis area, make sure you return your beer and get some new beer.
Yeah, go check that out. Check your UPC codes. Got one last thing, and actually this kind of goes back into what we were originally kind of talking about with some yeast and sourdough and whatnot.
Yeah.
Found this one this morning. It's kind of interesting. Not necessarily beer news, but it's more like health news. I don't know. I've always heard growing up, especially because I've had my parents have had a couple of friends have had heart attacks, that a glass of wine helps you to not have a heart attack. I've always heard that. And because it kind of relaxes, thins out your blood just a little. One glass of red wine at dinner type of a thing. Well, a new study just came out, published by, where is it? I was going
in the American Chemical Society's Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry.
Yes, that beer gut, not a beer belly, but a beer gut, it may actually be good for you. And what they're talking about is actually having one lager a day is actually looking to be very healthy for your gut health. I don't know how many of you guys are into your gut health and your whole whole digestive system and your poops and whatnot. But it's a very big modern thing. And honestly, when I went through the whole 46-day thing, I kind of had to do a bit of research on that. So it's a very interesting thing. But they did a study of, I think it was only like 26 people, 19 people, ranging between 23 and 58. But they had them drink a 5% Super Bock, which is a pale European pale lager, if you don't know what that is. And they were saying that it doesn't matter if there's alcohol in it or not. It was more about the yeast.
Yeah.
And so it was the yeast that was used to make complement the gut health inside your stomach to increase the enzymes in there.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to have a healthy gut and a healthy digestive system, have that one beer with dinner.
Yeah, that seems to really reinforce a lot of the things that they've been researching about the gut microbiome recently, which is that fermented foods and fermentation in general is just glorious for your gut microbiome. And your gut microbiome is so important to you that there are some health conditions where you have to undergo a biome transplant, which usually takes the shape of like fecal matter transplant, where you literally consume somebody's healthy fecal matter via like pills. It's not like you're just like spoon and fork digging into somebody's
It's not like the South Park episode?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think that reality lines up with South Park. All that, like the ideas, sure. The implementation, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I think it goes to show you that there's a lot to be had about fermented foods. And I've seen a lot of studies that show that countries and cultures that eat a lot of fermented foods as a part of their regular diet. Scandinavian countries is up there. I think the Japanese culture is up there. Ones with lots of fermented vegetables, pickled, different things.
Oh yeah, like pickled and fermented stuff I know is very healthy. Like
yeah, that. Which is it's pretty cool. So, and it's kind of fun, pickling is, I think, like a good first step to beer making in a lot of ways. So.
I wonder if they should redo the study with pickled gozes.
There you go. Yeah, I'd do it. So, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm gonna do beer number 2 is KCBC King's Country Brewing Collective Dos Duertas Gose. It is a gose style sour ale with mangoes, chilies, and lime and sea salt. So 4.5%. So you are killing me in the ABV.
Well, what can I say? I dare do all that becomes a man.
Yeah, you ever have, and you probably have because of where we live, those Hispanic candies?
Yeah,
around here that always had like the chili powders in them.
Yeah, like the Luca and stuff they call it. Yeah,
exactly. This tastes like having a mango kids candy, and there's like a little bit of chili powder inside of it. So you're having this sweet, sugary. There's a little bit of salt from the sea salt, but then there's this like you look and you're like, this is good sweet candy, and like, well, that's an interesting kick at the back end. Okay, sure, I'll keep going. But yeah, it's nice. It's different, but I can tell it's going to be complex. So
right. For some reason, I can't talk in chat. That's really irritating. I think I must be on the wrong account or something like that. Jeff, check your DMs, Jeff.
Anyway. I haven't even been. I hate this. I got this wireless keyboard and mouse, and it's a Bluetooth mouse, and this Bluetooth mouse.
Oh, I am on the wrong account. Wants me to create a channel to join the chat. That's stupid. Not doing that. We do have another super chat, so thank you so much, Scott Locke, $9.99 in freedom currency. Wow, this stream has changed since the last time I watched. Make Jeff buy you a cheap drink on me. Cheers, gents. Although he said, make Jeff buy you a cheap drink on me, John. What about me? What?
Well, he already bought you the Mac and Jack.
Okay, we can't just say everything I spend money on Jeff bought me. That's not how it works.
I mean, it kind of does.
Right? I mean, like, yeah, if you're talking like top to bottom, yeah, okay, for sure. But once it's my money, I'm buying it, so. To be fair, Jeff does spoil me from time to time. It's very hard for him to open a beer when he's filming a video without giving me one, so.
Rhett's all like, yeah, we should do 3 today.
It's kind of fun sometimes. We gotta actually like really jump into the beer reviews and stuff together and hash it out.
Now wait, when you guys are doing the reviews, when you're drinking, are you drinking the same beer or are you drinking 2 different beers?
Most of the time we're drinking the same beer.
Okay.
Yeah. Like he'll open something that he has like, a couple of, and he'll offer me one. Or he got some big old bombers from Claw, and he poured them into his pint glass and had a couple ounces left over, and so he gave me a little bit to enjoy at the same time. So we got to talk about the beer a little bit off the air, so that was fun. But thank you for the donation, Scott. We got another one from Tech Geek, $5. Heard the word and thought of a joke. Wanted to make someone say it. You know why Swedish warships have barcodes on them? So they can Scandinavian. That's pretty good. I've always really appreciated like all of the puns in there with like the Scandinavian puns are great, but deviating from that a little bit, like worship, friendship, like there's something in there that I've always joked about, never been able to turn into a real joke, sadly. Yeah, Novella Hub says Rhett gets the sloppy seconds. Yeah, sometimes.
Hey, it's better. I don't even get any.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, like, sometimes second place, even if it comes with sloppies, not that bad. It's my place in life.
Right.
So
yeah, I think we're moving along pretty good. What do we got?
Well, that's it.
Well, I see some other stuff if you want to talk about that.
Oh yeah. Well, this is stuff I figured we could just burn to the end of the hour tonight. So
yeah. Also, if there's stuff in chat, bring it up.
Fire away. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're drinking, what you're winking. Let's see if Jeff didn't get my DM. He must not actually be watching the show, guys. Let it be known. But yeah, so there's been a lot of stuff outside of beer and tech news, which we've just wrapped up. So thank you for sticking along with us on that one. Big one, at least in my opinion. We usually talk Star Trek all the time, but I can't help but bring up Star Wars every once in a while. And there's an important
I like Star Wars,
right? Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do, John. You're one of the.
I'm a classic guy.
You're one of the co-hosts of Talking Heads. It's a prerequisite. But there's been an important Star Wars show on lately. It's called Obi-Wan, and or I guess it's called Kenobi. I don't know. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think it is called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I don't know. Anyway,
like we know, we don't.
It's not important. I just click play. Have you had a chance to watch this yet?
I have seen everything but the latest.
Yeah, same. I haven't. There was one that came out today.
Yeah, I haven't seen today's. I've watched everything but today.
Yeah.
It's like 1 through 4.
Yeah. And I've been pretty happy. I know that the show's gotten a lot of scrutiny online, and you can't be a fan of anything on Twitter without people, spewing half-baked takes all over. And, granted, I find that I'm a pretty forgiving audience in general, but if anybody else is out there watching Kenobi, let me know what you think. I think it's a blast. I know that it doesn't live up to what a lot of people were hoping it was going to be, but I think it's a really hard lesson we all should learn, that nothing ever is going to live up to our own imaginations. Like we can get carried away with our own headcanon, and whatever we think happens is way cooler than what actually happens,
Well, yeah, it's, like you said, Twitter, and I got into an argument with a Twitter argument about, I think it was.
Uh-oh, I lost John. Oh, you're still here. Who'd you get into a Twitter argument with?
Just some random person about, I think it was episode 4.
Yeah.
When Kenobi and hang on, I don't want to fight. But there was an issue that I felt devalued and kind of uncannoned episode 1, or episode not 1 but episode 4, so which would have been A New Hope.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of people talking about that.
That particular, and I was like, okay, up until these scenes, I was like, I'm okay with everything. But then there was that one part, which I'm not saying it wasn't. I think the show is very well shot. I think a lot of it is, but there are just little tidbits that I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that. But like you said, you can be forgiving, and I think I'm forgiving. But then there's just, to me, that was a large point I didn't like.
Are you talking about at the fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a thing that a lot of people talk about. And yeah, I don't know. I tend to, it's hard for me because I'm very critical, especially when I'm watching stuff that I love, like Star Wars. But I always try to go like, you know what? If I was paid to create a Star Wars, you bet your butt that I'm going to be turning on episode 4 and making sure exactly what I can put in the episode and what I can't put in the episode, and maybe they got something wrong. I don't know how bad it retcons it. I don't know if I want to have that argument because I'm not super committed to one way or the other,
Yeah. Well, I think I had no problem with episode 1 through 3. I was like, okay, this all kind of makes sense. But there were some things in like episode 4 where it was like, there was the whole guard check scene, which I thought leading up to it was kind of funny, of the guy that kind of sounded like Seth Rogen, or not Seth Rogen, yeah, was it Rogen? Anyways, who ended up not being him. The weird hamster mole looking character, the truck driver. I kind of liked him. I liked the stormtrooper reaction and everything in that, but it was like they're in the desert and then there's just this gate. And
yeah, like a checkpoint or whatever.
There's a checkpoint with a laser gate. It's almost looked like a train track, arm.
Yeah.
And so there's like, they're in the desert. There's 2 kind of large hills to each side. That's why there is it. But there's still gaps on both ends. And he shoots the control panel to, close the laser. Like, just run around. There was opening on both sides. Why did you do that? That's just dumb. But they wanted to have that scene of him shooting the control panel. Like, you did that. That served no purpose to the story. It's like,
If you were playing a game, you would have shot the control panel.
Just for fun.
Yeah. Sure. What? He can't have fun?
Well, to me, if it almost felt like every episode was written by like a different team of writers.
I can see
kind
that.
of a thing,
and it might be true. I wonder if I'd have to look at the credits.
I didn't look into that, so that's kind of what it felt like, and that's where I had the biggest problem with that episode. Was like, this felt like, to me, anyways, that this episode 4, was written by a team of people that were just told what Star Wars was, but never watched Star Wars.
Right.
It was like, hey, here's this thing, and these 2 guys are mortal enemies now. Write an episode about it. Go. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be kind of interesting. Skull mentions one of the things that I've been hearing a lot about on Twitter about just like one of the characters and actresses getting a lot of shit. And Skull goes on and he says he's watching it. He's been liking it a lot. Everybody complaining about it just needs to watch episode 5, which is the one that came out today. And I heard that really justifies a lot of complaints or not justifies the complaints, but sort of addresses a lot of complaints that I've seen some people have. They do. Apparently this episode's great. I've heard people watch it multiple times already, and it literally has only been out for a day. So
yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still gonna finish the series. I have no.
Yeah.
I'm well invested into it, and I think it's good enough to finish.
For sure.
I don't think it's something horrible. I think maybe too, kind of what you were talking about, like expectations, is that I think The Mandalorian really set a good tone because people really liked The Mandalorian, kind of a reverse of the prequels and then new sequels, over action packed, overproduced.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian kind of brought it back to the Western samurai type deal. Um, and even season 2, I liked a lot. And Boba Fett, okay, even though it ended up being like Mandalorian 2.5.
Yeah, I love that though, dude. The Mandalorian's episode was so good on that like space ring thing. Like that was like that was the first like cool, unique set piece that we've had in like new Star Wars. Really, you know what I mean? Like that was just 100% cool, original. When he's walking, and he gets directions to go kind of to like the underside of it, and he sees like, oh, that was so cool.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I thought, all of those I liked, and I think that's what people were kind of expecting of Kenobi, because, you probably remember this too, like the prequels for a lot of people were a big disappointment, and just get beaten on very hard, for the extreme hardcore Star Wars fans. Especially after Return of the Sith, or Revenge of the Sith,
right,
or whatever it's called. There's that gif of the lightsaber dueling and everything. Yeah. Some people like it, and I know I've rewatched them. The prequels are like, okay, there's actually some pretty entertaining, good parts.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones is actually not as bad. Really the only bad part in my mind is just the effects.
Yeah, the effects don't really hold up all that well.
And
what's weird is the effects get worse between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which is weird because like I watched Phantom Menace and I was like, holy shit, this like holds up in its own way. Like, it's campy, but it's fun. Like
I think there's more practical effects.
The pod racing is mind blowing.
Yeah, it still looks good. Well, I think it's so many fast moving objects. To me, it's the clone troopers and the wars, and they just look horrible.
Yeah. Like the scene on Geonosis where all like the bugs are coming out and they're cornered in the arena, like it looked pretty bad by today's standards. And like what's weird is like, for example, like a movie series that was pretty popular around the same time. I don't have exact dates in front of me, but like I remember my age, and like Lord of the Rings was like really popping off. And Lord of the Rings holds up, dude. Lord of the Rings holds up. So then to go to Attack of the Clones, and it's like, I don't know. But then Revenge, I feel like even if the effects are pretty bad, Revenge is a much better movie in general. But, I don't know. That's just me. Jonathan Badger hates the prequels, but what are you gonna do? He doesn't have any joy in his life, so just kidding, Jonathan. It's okay to hate the prequels if you want. I've just spent my whole life apologizing for them, so I'm very good at it.
Well, I mean, I kind of like them better than the new ones.
Yeah, so. I think it's one thing you hear a lot of people say all the time, right? Is that like the prequels tell a better cohesive story than the sequels. Yeah. And we could sit here and bicker about whatever the reason is. Like everybody's heard me talk about Last Jedi and Rise over and over and over and over. But they do. They're a more cohesive unit. And I don't know. I don't know where I got this idea, but like when you watch Liam Neeson in Phantom Menace and he's just rolling with it. He's like, well, yeah, the Force brought me here. Like, that's a dude who's just like, yeah, just rolling with the vibes, babe. Like, we're going to see what happens. It's actually really funny when you watch that. He's just like leaves everything to chance. He's like, oh, yeah, well, the Force put me here, so I must have to be here for some reason.
Yeah, I remember seeing enjoying it.
Losing John a little bit. Sorry, bud.
Yeah.
You watched what and enjoyed it?
Episode Phantom Menace. When it first came out.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. But I was also, young. I don't remember how old I was.
Yeah, I was pretty young too. I had to have been like
teenage years.
Yeah, so you're a little bit older than me, but I was pretty young. I was still in elementary school, and so that's one of the funny things you hear. Like, I think Jeff said it one of the last times I was on the show. He's like, well, you have to realize like the age I was, and then this just came in and it was like made for kids, and it felt like a big slap in the face. And I was like, It's made for kids, man. It was made for me. Like, I was that kid, you know?
Well, it seemed to be made for Star Wars fans. That was the thing. But the problem was you went from 83, which would have been Return of the Jedi, which for a lot of Star Wars fans was disappointment. But actually, me growing up, I used to think Return of the Jedi was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Like growing up, Return of the Jedi as a kid, the middle school and everything, like that was my favorite one. It was, you had the Jabba the Hutt scene.
That was awesome.
I actually, as a kid, loved the Ewoks and the racing in the forest, all the walkers. I just loved all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't like Empire Strikes Back because it was too dark and it was like, this is dumb. And episode A New Hope was just too boring.
Yes,
so
yeah,
for a kid, but then I went into Phantom Menace. I was like, okay, I kind of get it. It's kind of good. Yeah, it was Attack of the Clones that kind of, this isn't good. I did enjoy The Force Awakens, but only because it just was a copy clone of A New Hope.
I enjoyed it. It's fun, man. I watched it not that long ago, just a couple weeks ago, and it's just so fun. It's just a popcorn flick. Like,
yeah, it's a popcorn flick.
It's certainly better than some other Star Wars movies. Like, it's better than New Hope, in my opinion, and it's better than Attack the Clones, in my opinion. I don't know. It's just, I think that part of the reason that these movies get a lot of crap is just because there's no way it could have lived up to our imaginations. I remember watching the trailer for the first time and like all of the things that I saw, and I was so just floored and enamored thinking of all of the possibilities of the stories they were going to tell. And all of the stories I told myself every single time I watched the trailer would have been more exciting than what we got. But in reality, like, you can't do that. You can't sit there and watch a trailer and be like, oh, here's 30 seconds of daydreams. I want to see that happen. Like, it's just not how movie making works, you know? It's kind of a miracle any movie gets made sometimes, but
I remember this was, before Phantom Menace, so this has been like 96 to 8. I would occasionally read some of the Star Wars books that was supposedly canon, where Han and Luke and Leia all had kids, and it was more focused on them, and Luke was the leader of the Jedi Academy and everything.
Yeah.
And I was expecting The Force Awakens to kind of be, it's going to be that. They're going to loosely base it on that because it was all talking about their kids or they were going to be younger. So that kind of disappointed me. But,
well, in a way it was about their kids.
Kind of.
Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird. I talked about this a lot before, but when you look at the extended universe stuff that they killed, they really bring back the best of it in the movies in a way. Like, between Kylo Ren and Rey, you really do get Jason and Jaina Solo.
Skywalker. Yeah, Solo, sorry.
Who are Han and Leia's kids. And in fact, their story arc culminates in a trilogy in which Jason Solo falls to the dark side and gets a fleet of ships and is vanquishing people and is fought by an illusion of like a force projection of Luke Skywalker. Like, literally taken from the books and put in the movies. And what's funny is everybody reads that book and they go, what an incredible, amazing scene. And then they watch the movie where that happens and they're like, boo. Which, again, it shows you the power of your own imagination, because what you read in that book, it evokes mental images. It evokes all these things that's happening. You're thinking about how incredible it is. And I'm not saying it's a beat for beat, because in the book, what's happening is even more incredible than what happens in the movie in a way. But like, but anyway, and then in the book too, Jaina has to train to figure out how to kill Jason Solo and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, they basically take some of that, and then in character design too. You look at Rey; she really has like the character design of like Bastila from Knights of the Old Republic. Mm-hmm. Kylo Ren really has the character design of Darth Revan, who was like one of the Sith Lords in Knights of the Old Republic. And I could go on and on and on. They just take a lot of these things that we had enjoyed from the games, a lot of these scenes that we enjoyed from the books, and they figured out how to kind of strip them for parts and bring them into the movies.
Well, I guess that can also be, that's a double-edged sword too, because exactly what you said, we take these things and we had our own imagination of it, and the writers are probably like, oh, look what we're doing. We're paying homage and we're bringing all the things that people love. But then the people that actually do love those characters and those scenes, they're like, you butchered it.
Yeah.
I would have almost preferred you did something original, because then I had meat on the bone. But then you know what would have happened is they would have been like, that's not canon. That's not how things, you should have done how the book was written. You would have done this.
Well, and that's kind of, it wasn't based on a book, but that's kind of what happened to Last Jedi, right? Like, people watch it and they go, this isn't my Star Wars, man. You took everything I loved and you butchered it. You have Luke Skywalker like talking down to Jedis and he's calling it a religion. I know how that made a lot of people. It's not a religion, but like it is. He called it a laser sword. I'm like, bro, it is a laser sword. Come on, and that's that's not the only. Oh, the blue milk thing. Like you got like I don't know. You just have them like leaning into Star Wars-y, aliens-y stuff and trying to create a new thing for us to enjoy, and a lot of people didn't like it. So I think you're really screwed either way with Star Wars fans. You try to create really something.
Well, I guess that's, to me, you have to go. I would have almost preferred an original story. I guess that's kind of why I liked more of the Rogue One. I'm not saying Rogue One's the greatest masterpiece of all time, but Jeff obviously thinks it is for the Star Wars universe. It's okay, but I like it as a movie. I like it as a Star Wars universal movie. Because it's not the main characters that we fell in love with. It kind of has something to do with it, but a little 30-second piece that was in one movie, and you can build this whole other universe around that. Same thing with the Mandalorian. There's this little character, or Boba Fett. I mean, Boba Fett was only introduced via the Christmas special, then Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back, but in the background, of just like for 40 seconds. And there's this huge lore that was made about him. And so I like that it's going off. I guess that is the problem with the prequels and sequels is you already know some of the characters and how they were written. You're like, that's not how I think that
exactly
should have gotten to point A to point B.
You bring in all your own baggage. I think that's what made Solo work so well in a way too. Like Rogue One, the best part was, I remember getting to the end of Solo and I was like, whoa, are all these people about to die? Like, I was like, is nobody about to make it out? I was like, what are they doing? And I realized that like right before it happened, not that, like literally, I'm pretty sure the Death Star was about to fire. And I was like, wait, what? And then the whole hallway scene, which like sometimes people knock it. Personally, I thought it was epic. At the very end, it's dark, lightsaber ignites. And I was just like, for a brief moment, I remember forgetting that feeling.
Oh, that was the best scene of the whole movie too.
And I forgot that the next movie happens. I forgot that New Hope. I was like, holy crap, they lost. After all that, they lost. He's up there killing people. I was like, I can't believe it. The rebellion's over. And then like literally the Corellian Corvette's taken away. And it's like, oh God, I'm so dumb. Like I've been watching these movies and reading these books and playing these games for 30 years, and I'm just like, I forgot all about it. That's what Rogue One did so well. But in that sense, it was a completely different story and different character, but it was still
a little nugget of within the realm of the original trilogy or the trilogy, the universe we know and love. And so it was just this, hey, remember you guys like that little piece? Well, here's the in-depth story of that. And
yeah,
I like that. And I think that's, like you said, with these other ones, because there's recurring characters, we bring in our own baggage. That's a good.
I think that's
the
best part about it, And one of the things I said this on my old Star Wars podcast, but like one of the things that gave me a lot of hope with Rogue One was that like this was permission for people to tell whatever kind of story they wanted in Star Wars. Give me like a Band of Brothers Star Wars. Give me like a James Bond or like a Bourne Identity Star Wars. Give me I don't know. That's all I could think of shorthanded. Give me like, dude, I would watch the hell out of like a Fast and Furious Star Wars, where it's people like souping up their ships or something. Like
I would take even a comedic approach. I mean, there are plenty of YouTube channels that are like, there's one, I forget what it's called, but they take a comedic approach for the stormtroopers, and it was like the stormtroopers training, and like there's a rookie who goes in and versus a veteran, and the rookie's got like an iPod music going in his helmet, and there's like 3 or 4 episodes. But there's like, I could probably watch a series of just stormtroopers getting into their own academy or thinking that it's great or something.
Yeah,
like
that'd
that.
Be interesting.
I would watch, or even the SNL skit of the Kylo Ren going undercover boss. I thought that was actually hilarious.
Yeah, that was really good.
But I would almost like a comedic look at Star Wars, very similar to like say how Star Trek has done Lower Decks,
yeah,
of a comedic aspect of Star Wars, of
or you could almost
ridiculous,
or like a red versus blue type situation, like
something like that.
I'd watch that. How about a Knocked Jedi... Up but Star Wars, huh?
Yeah,
Pineapple Express but Star Wars. Everybody's doing spice.
Like the Jedi Academy, but then these two are like the rebels, and there's some rebellious students going out and gambling and having some spice.
Yeah, I'd watch it, dude. Also, yeah, I mentioned Fast and the Furious. I said spaceships, dude. Give me like a whole season of pod racing, like, and I'm there. Like,
or even like Sopranos of the mob life.
Yeah,
of
like
Star Wars,
the Hut sector, like
like the whole thing. There was even like a little tiny taste of that in
Boba Fett.
Of like, oh, there are these other families.
Yeah.
Tell me about these other families. I want to know the rise in power of these families, the Fetts, all these other ones, Let me know what that is.
I'd watch the hell out of that. Yeah. But again, like I said, Rogue One was permission to tell whatever kind of story we wanted. And so I hope that we get that. I hope that we get a look more at that. Somebody up here says that they loved Solo. Jonathan, I agree with you, bud. Solo is in my top Star Wars movies. Really good. Rogue One is good too. Yeah, Family Guy Star Wars. You know what's funny is I never really liked any Star Wars parodies all that much. Like I didn't even really like Family Guy, like Blue Harvest all that much. I don't know what it is, right? Like I've never even quite connected that well with Spaceballs.
Oh man.
I know. And I watched Spaceballs like the other day, like maybe a month ago. And I was like, okay, I can watch this and enjoy it a little bit better. I don't know what it is. The only one that I really freaking loved was the Robot Chicken Star Wars parodies.
Robot Chicken did great ones too.
They slam dunked them all, man. And like watching Bosk like do his stuff, like those always made me laugh my butt off. When you have Bosk pretending like he's James Bond and anyway. We've talked a lot about Star Wars. I could probably close out the rest of the show talking about Star Wars if you want. I haven't even mentioned Morrowind. The episode says that I'm going to talk about it, but I haven't done it. So, well, whatever.
There was one last bit of video game. I didn't know if you wanted to mention that, but
we may as well mention it. It's related to Bethesda, which is loosely related to Morrowind. It's directly related to Morrowind.
That's kind of why I brought it up. I was like, well, it can kind of, and then maybe the last 30 seconds you bring in some Morrowind and we can close the night out.
We'll see how I feel. But anyway, I don't know if you got a chance to see it or not, but just the other day, Bethesda went ahead and released 15 minutes of gameplay footage from Starfield. Their long-awaited space-faring open-world RPG game. They've branded it based on the way it looks, NASA punk, which I think is kind of a fun, evocative, word for that.
It was funny when I saw it. I was like, I thought it said StarCraft. I read StarCraft. I was like, oh, new StarCraft.
Nah,
yeah.
Starfield.
Starfield. No,
Yeah.
but I did get to watch the trailer. I didn't get to read the article. I skimmed through it, but it looks awesome.
It does look cool. And there's a couple complaints that people have, like the planets look a little boring. Some of the facial animations look a little stiff.
I don't care.
Typical Bethesda problems. I've already seen a bunch of memes of them like jumping down Howard's throat about the things that he promises at these big announcements versus what you get in the games. And I just want to tell, I guess I just want to say, and I've said this a lot on the show, it's like, if after all of these years you believe what you see in a game announcement or a gameplay announcement or whatever, like, I'm sorry, you're duping yourself at this point. I bought an Xbox based off of Peter Molyneux's promises for Fable, and I enjoyed the heck out of Fable, but it was nowhere near what was promised in that year's edition of Game Informer. It was the centerfold thing. I read like 20 pages about how this game was going to live and breathe and respond to you. Like, every game developer has high hopes for their game. They're not going to promise you anything. They're not going to sit here and be like, well, okay, so we're doing Starfield, but like, don't get your hopes up, guys. Like, they're going to sell you the moon and back because they want you interested in their game, and they also want to deliver what it is that they're promising. So anyway, I don't know, just a lot of the discourse I've been seeing about Starfield. I'm not one of these guys who is so like fanboyish of any game company or anything like this. I don't dismiss or believe anything out of hand. The gameplay looked interesting to me. I would definitely play the game kind of as I've seen. But I'm also not, I don't have these immense high hopes of how this is going to change my life forever. You're right. You only get one Morrowind, and that happened to me already in 2002. It changed my life, right? So
we did miss a super chat.
Yeah, I did see that. So now is as good of a time as any. Michael Stevens.
We missed two. Actually.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and hit Michael Stevens.
Oh no. That we did read Tech Geek's dad joke.
Oh yeah, the Scandinavian.
Yeah. So sorry, just the one.
Michael Stevens, $6.69. Nice. I have a joke for you. Shout out to Man Shorts Firefly Edition. How do reavers clean their spears? They put them through the wash. Nice. Well done. That is pretty good, actually. Speaking of great science fiction shows, Firefly and the accompanying film Serenity. Fantastic. And you know why?
The reboot?
There's going to be a reboot? No.
Yep.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
No, they've been talking about a reboot for 20 years.
Fire.
Here's the deal. Here's what I was going to say, though, John. You know why Firefly lives on so endearingly in our hearts? Because it was 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Everything that we hope for that show is only what it could have been. It's another example that I was talking about of how our imaginations is far more powerful than what's on screen. Because otherwise a show with only 12 episodes wouldn't have had such a crazy following. Because what was there was good.
Oh, very good.
And I enjoy... Firefly is legitimately in my top 10 shows, and I watch it all the time. Even just for fun. Like, sometimes I'll have it on the background. But, again, it didn't have a whole season to disappoint us. It didn't have 2 seasons to disappoint us. So 3 seasons to disappoint us. One bad episode, the internet turns on you, and suddenly you're out, to dry like the last seasons of Game of Thrones was. But yeah.
Yeah. Someone asked if you play any VR, Rhett.
I really don't. My exposure to VR was like exclusively at John's bar. And when that all went away, so too did my VR experience. That's how I met Jeff. That's why I'm on Talking Heads right now, is because of VR at John's bar. And I've always had a really good time. I do have like a chill VR headset around here, one of the Samsungs. I set it up to try and play Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, and I couldn't get the tracking figured out, so I just kind of gave up and played it regular.
I don't know about Rhett. You're fairly recently a father, and being a dad myself, and all of us on Talking Heads and Craft are all dads. I find it hard. It gets kind of hard to play games on my spare time.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. And then the ones I do find end up being like, I played this already. This is my fun game. This is my go-to game.
Well, it's another example of how your imagination is better than the real reality, right? Like, I think we all really like daydreaming about playing games. And I don't know about you. I'm always chasing the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Of like what it was like when I was a kid. And like, I was talking to my brother the other day because he's playing Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time. And anybody who's been following the show for a while knows that, like, I don't buy games new, but Red Dead Redemption was one of those that I decided to get on and buy brand new, and I was plugged into it right away. And like, there was a day before I was a dad where I played that game and I looked at the clock and it had been 14 hours. I played the game 14 hours straight. And that wasn't normal back then even. But now there's no way in hell I'd be able to play for that many hours straight. Like, sometimes we're lucky if I can sit down and play an hour or two at most. I don't know. There's something about a game that can suck you in and a game that you can get invested in. And I feel like I'm always looking for that. And I still buy games that I know I'm never going to play. Like, deep down, if I would just analyze it and look at myself in the mirror, it's like, why am I spending this $10 on this game on sale? I'm never going to play it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Once they get like just a hair a little older, and then you can buy a game, like even like a Switch or something pretty basic, then they're gonna want to play it. And then you're like, I kind of get back into games. Like Jeff's already got that because he's got a little bit older kids than us. It's my son is all into like Super Smash Brothers.
Nice.
So as far as the games I get to play, they're all 2008 games, but it's like I still get to play it, but it's fun. I dominate because I don't even let him I don't go easy on.
Can't give him false hope.
I don't give him false hope. I win every match.
But Dad, I want to play teams now.
Oh no, so here's how we try to even the playing field. My wife will play, and she'll be on his team, and she's worse than him. Like, he whoops my wife's butt. My 5-year-old is way better than my wife, but still. And then I increase my pre-made damage to 300. So any hit that hits me, I automatically die. I still win.
Yeah, you got to give them like a super hard bot on their team or something too, and do 3v1.
Something like that. But it's fun. He'll do that. He'll do Mario Kart. Nice. He's really into, his favorite now is Mario Party.
Oh, fun.
But yeah, it is. I find now more like, I agree with what you're saying, the nostalgia. I'll try to play some first person shooters. Like, I was really invested into oh god, what was the latest one that came out? The latest Battlefield.
Right.
And I was like, because I remember Battlefield, me growing up, like that was my jam. That was my nostalgia. That I bought every single edition of that. I played, like you said, 14 hours sometimes. And then I bought it again. I was like, I got to play 40 minutes. And I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. I got too many more important things, and I'm just getting started. 40 minutes is just enough time to get set up type of a thing with some of these modern games. But I do find that nostalgia, the easiness, going back and now playing with my kid, and just the sense of joy of a quick game and that fun. And then he might get lucky and win one. Then he celebrates and does his dance on the couch or something like that.
There you go.
It's super fun. You got a boy, you'll get you'll even not even video games, just like games or sports or tossing them around, pretend. My son loves being Link, but we'll be outside, and we bought him like a plastic sword and shield, and I'm the villain, and so, but he still loves doing that. So it's super fun stuff like that. So you kind of get to relive different aspects of your video game because you inject that that's your family. So
he's just kind of getting to the point, like, as bad of a dad as it makes me sound, he has these like fun little like learning games on my phone, and so sometimes I'll give him my phone and he'll do stuff, and I'm like, he's already got this, like, I gotta start upgrading him. What's funny is, like, I gave my nephews, who are a little bit older, I think the oldest one's like 9, and I had them over one time, and I was like, dude, let's play Super Mario World. And so I had my RetroPie set up. They had no idea what was going on. These were kids, by the way, that played like Fortnite and stuff.
Oh, I was gonna give them a RetroPie. I think it was like a year or two ago for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I know who you're talking about. But yeah, because I was talking to your brother-in-law, and he's like, yeah, they have no idea who those games are, so don't do that.
Yeah,
they just wanted like Nerf bullets.
Yeah, that sounds right. It's funny because, like, I'm like, dude, you guys play Fortnite, you do all this sort of stuff, and then, like, I'm like, this game has 2 buttons, dude. It's got the jump button and like this and like forward and back. Like, what is so hard? Like, we couldn't even get out of like the first zone, basically. It was fun though. It makes you think about like what games were like when you were a kid and like why you liked them and stuff, because like they just couldn't connect with it at all. And granted, they're playing Fortnite and doing the flossing dance and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, I know. There was it might have been like TikTok, or I think it was an Instagram video of, there was this dad who got like beat by his son. I think it was Fortnite or something like that, and he got all upset, and he sat there, like, oh yeah, and he busts out an old Nintendo 64 and puts GoldenEye on.
There you go.
And he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you now. And the son's like not impressed by the graphics at all.
Yeah.
But the dad is just like going, this is the best game ever, you don't even know. And
time to play Golden Gun, come on.
GoldenEye, we're gonna do this. So yeah, good times. It's super fun. Being a parent and a dad is super fun in its own ways, and you don't get as much time to play some of the nostalgic things that you want to do, or what you want to, but there's other joys in it. There's a lot of other joys in it.
Yeah, that's true. And it's interesting because it's like, you find time to do, like, you find time to do hops and brews and stuff like that. It's like, I find time to work on craft computing stuff, and like recently I've been like writing a script for like a potential like Morrowind video, and it's like, I haven't fired up Morrowind yet or played any of it, but it's fun to go and like read people's articles and like do research and like relive my own experience in that way. So you do it in a new way too,
Yeah.
But anyway, we should probably wrap this thing up. It is after 10. We talked your ears off about Star Wars, and everybody's on our side. We're 100% right, no matter which way you look at it. Plus, my beer's done run out, so, what are you going to do? John, do you have anything to plug before we get on out of here?
Just the normal stuff. My channel and Hops and Brews, looking for a little bit more in-depth beer reviews or some crazy flavors. I just released a video today of a cheese flavored beer. So if you think that cheese is a good beer flavor, check that out. You will be surprised that I don't think you will be surprised. It's not a good flavor. It's a horrible flavor. I actually do have a food one coming out, but I forgot to shoot the intro, so I have to creatively edit that in.
Nice. Well, that'll be fun. Tanmay asks, can you share any script writing tips? Do you ever write scripts for your videos, or do you just go off the cuff?
All of my, I don't have time to write scripts. I tried early on, and my longer ones, I write
Some ideas.
a general, like, this is the flow, but then as I'm stating it, this works better, this works better.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, all of my regular videos are all 99% off the cuff.
Nice. Yeah, I tend to write scripts just because I'm a writer in general, and it's a way for me to like live the video before I record it. And so as far as any script writing tips for that, I just barf out drafts. I'll do a barf draft, then I'll go through and refine that, and usually like my third or fourth will be the final one. But I write all the time anyway, so you know, that's just me. So do with that what you will. Hope that helps. As far as me, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Red is Awesome, or anywhere for that matter. I'm on Discord at Red is Awesome. I'm on other places at Red is Awesome. So go check that out. You can check out my game dev podcast at gamedevsquest.com. I'm doing Dungeons and Dragons content over at theinattheend.com. We're having a lot of fun over there, and I'm about to release my very first adventure module, probably over at Drive-Thru RPG. I'd like to release it on DM's Guild, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to meet the requirements that they have for that. So anyway, I'll let you all know if you're all into D&D and tabletop for that. Otherwise, jump on over to patreon.com/craftcomputing, throw $1, join the Discord, come join the super secret chat and all those good things. And hit that thumbs up and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. We'll be here next Wednesday. I'm sure Jeff will feel a lot better and return by then. In the meantime, keep an eye out for all of our videos on the Craft Computing channel. And we'll catch you then the next time.
Next time, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Yep.